Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Brinks. I'm a student at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, and my hometown is Peoria in central Illinois. It has been an honor to be a university representative for Chicago Startup Week. Before university, I did not have many opportunities to connect to Chicago. However, during my time at UC and Chicago Startup Week, I have met many peers and professionals from Chicago in the entrepreneurship space. Each interaction with the Chicago community inspires me to support entrepreneurs and become more involved in the community. The students I work with for Chicago Startup Week are extraordinary and have an incredible passion that motivates me to do my best. We all believe in the impact and value of the Chicago ecosystem and want to share its opportunities to inspire and support its members. As a graduating senior, I am constantly thinking about my next steps. I have already signed a full-time offer in Chicago, and through the planning of Chicago Startup Week, I know I have to continue being a part of this awe-inspiring community. I'm excited to call Chicago my home soon and continue working within the Chicago entrepreneurship ecosystem. I would also like to use this time to acknowledge one of our biggest supporting sponsors. Our platinum sponsor, Uber Freight, is a logistics platform built on the power of Uber with the goal to reshape global logistics and deliver reliability, flexibility, and transparency for shippers and carriers. Since launching in 2017, Uber Freight has built one of the world's largest digitally enabled carrier networks and transformed entrenched practices around pricing and booking freights to reduce inefficiencies and increase opportunities for business growth and industry collaboration. Today, the business counts for 65,000 carriers in its network and thousands of shippers as customers, from small businesses to Fortune 500 companies, including AB InBev, Nestle, LG, Land O'Lakes, and many more. Now I'm going to pass it on to Lou.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lut Verder, and I had the pleasure to be the lead program for the Chicago Startup Week Startup Symposium. I moved to Chicago recently as a transfer student from the Netherlands and grew up in Belgium for most of my life, and met some of the Intinium members in my first weeks at IIT, and was just immensely impressed by their initiative and by their competency. So I immediately jumped on this opportunity to work on a project like CSW with with these people that impressed me so much. Not only was this a perfect experience for me, but I also got to connect with a lot of Chicago's hardworking and entrepreneuring students and company. It was inspiring to connect with all of these people and a privilege to work with them. It was my first time being involved this closely with an event of this scale, and the fact that it was the first time that CSW was not only organized by students but also fully online made this event a new experience for all of us. We had a blast putting everything together, and I'm looking forward to our next project. And on a personal note, I want to give a massive thank you to Jack and Katja. Their positivity and guidance has been a lot more helpful than they'll ever know. And I don't know how, but they were there for me every step of the way, even when I didn't know I needed them. I really can't thank you guys enough, and we couldn't have done this without your support. Before I move on, I'd like to acknowledge our gold sponsor, G2. G2 is headquartered in Chicago and is revolutionizing the way businesses discover, buy, and manage software and services. More than 3 million users per month rely on G2 to help them find and buy the best software for their business. The platform has more than 1 million verified reviews. And with that, I'll hand it over to Pranav.
Hi everyone, I'm Pranav Nair, the marketing lead for the event. The event has been such a wonderful experience. I was part of this event since the beginning, and it's amazing to see how it has finally taken life. As a part of marketing team, I'm immensely thankful to our extremely hardworking and thoughtful teammates who have put in hours and hours of work. A lot of content what we have put out is through the help and the support of our many speakers and university representatives and sponsors. I once again thank the wonderful team of Chicago Startup Week for making this event a grand success. And now I pass on to Justin Bracco.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name I am the CSW project lead. My fellow organizers, Seth and I, will be your moderators for today's fireside chat with Kristi Ross and Brad Keywell. But before we start, we have a few words from Michael Fosnot, the CMO of the City of Chicago and interim president and CEO of World Business Chicago.
Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here. And like Christine said, I'm the CMO for the city and interim CEO and president of World Business Chicago. World Business Chicago is chaired by our Mayor Lightfoot, our Vice Chair Melody Hobson, and we are the economic development arm for the city. On our board, we have more than 70 of our largest and most important companies represented. We're really trying every day to make Chicago a more attractive place for existing firms here and attracting new firms. But first, I want to say congratulations to the organizer of Chicago Startup Week. It's one of Chicago's largest student-run startup conferences. This is an amazing event for our city, for everyone participating. And today's panel is very special. I couldn't be more excited to welcome two titans of the Chicago's tech community, Kristi Ross, co-CEO and president of Tasty Trade, and Brad Keywell, CEO and founder of Uptake. Let me start with Kristi, who made history just very recently. It's one of the few female founders who reached $1 billion plus exit in this country. Tasty Trade's recent exit is one of Chicago's biggest wins. Kristi champions the city's story to be a true global hub when it comes to fintech and innovation. Tasty Trade's success is, allow me to say, also Chicago's success, especially when it comes to our growing ecosystem of financial services talent, tech companies, and entrepreneurs. And Kristi is no stranger to the Chicago business community because she's involved in almost everything. She mentors local entrepreneurs. She's a regular speaker for our Chicago Think Chicago events. She's a founding member for the Pulse Women in Entrepreneurship Institute, and so many more things. She has truly mobilized the entire Tasty Trade organization to be a true Chicago technology company. And on behalf of the mayor and World Business Chicago, I want to thank you, Kristi, for everything you're doing every single day for our great city. And now to Brad Keywell, who's also a Tasty Trade board member. And Brad is really well known. He's no stranger to Chicago's tech community. He's a lifelong entrepreneur and built all 7 of his companies here in Chicago. Most recently, he's the founder and CEO of Uptake, industrial AI software platform harnessing predictive analytics to deliver outcomes of increased productivity, reliability, safety, and cybersecurity to global industry. Startup of the Year in 2015 by Forbes, was named a technology pioneer by the World Economic Forum. And in 2019, Brad himself was named EY's World Entrepreneur of the Year. And Brad had created, amongst a few things, Chicago Ideas, the city's premier speakers festival, Future Founders, an entrepreneurship education organization, and WNDR Museum, which reimagines the traditional museum experiences to interactive, immersive experiences. If you'll ever write a book about tech and innovation in Chicago, Brad will be all over it and not just in one chapter. So I want to thank him for being one of our city's best and most effective champions. Enough words. It's now my pleasure to hand it back to Justine and to Kristi Ross and Brad Keywell. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
And hello, Kristi and Brad. Thank you again for joining our event, and we're thrilled to host you this year.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
So I guess we can just dive right into the questions. You're both very heavily involved in the tech industry and have started tech-based companies in Chicago. And what I'm really hoping to hear from you guys is, why our city? What is it about Chicago that encouraged you to put down roots here?
Kristi, why don't you start?
Sure, I'm happy to. So for our business, Tasty Trade, we teach people like you and me how to trade in our own account, and we teach you how to use options and futures, which are derivatives. So Chicago just happens to be the derivatives capital of the world. So it fits that part of financial services very well for us. But I'll say formulaically, Chicago's the perfect place to start a tech business. For tech, to start a business is really one component is talent. And we have a plethora of new computer science grads every year. I believe you guys are some of them in the audience. And Chicago, the Chicago area is like the second largest in the country of producing computer science grads. So a great place for talent, or a talent, feed. And I would also say, just in general, amenities of Chicago just keep getting better. You have 100 different neighborhoods, 30 different beaches. You have, it's been pegged as the best biking city in America. And personally, I love the Four Seasons. And the cost of living is really great. So when you're trying to build a business, every dollar matters. And on top of that, I would say the Midwest mentality, people are just willing to help each other. They're just willing to make introductions or mentor. And then, of course, lastly, there's an abundance of resources like 1871, all the way to events like Chicago Ideas Week with Brad. So I'll let him comment.
For me, Chicago it's interesting. You think about capital of what, right? If East Coast is finance capital or whatever it might be, and West Coast is entertainment and otherwise, you might say that the Midwest is a capital of curiosity in our country. And the reason is because there's an industriousness or a resourcefulness that naturally comes out of somewhere between the coasts. It's where the auto industry was conceived and created and then grown. It's where the transportation industry really is developed, manufacturing and more. And the things that might not be easy to explain as a student to your friends, what you're going to go work in from a field, are often the things that are most opportune and most lucrative and most promising entrepreneurially. Because if there's one thing that I know for sure, if everybody's going somewhere in some direction and you're an entrepreneur, you want to ask why. Simple as that. So for me, I grew up in Michigan. The idea of Midwest values and a Midwestern culture, that idea means more than words. It means something. I can feel it when I meet someone. I can almost viscerally get a sense that they are from the Midwest. And then when they tell me that they are, of course they are. I sort of had a sense for that. And so when I moved west, which I did, I didn't move far west. I stopped in Chicago. And fortunately for me, Chicago was at a point, you might say a tipping point in the mid 90s, which is when I moved here after going to business school, undergrad and law school in Ann Arbor. Chicago was at a point that you probably couldn't even, all of the students listening couldn't even imagine now. But it was emerging. It was figuring itself out. It was getting over the skepticism or let's just say fear of the unknown of entrepreneurial startups and getting into the cherishing of people like us, all of you, me and Kristi and Seth and Justine, all of us, I believe are to be maybe not glorified, but certainly cherished by communities because we're the ones that are willing to step out in front and explore new territory. And so here we are 25 years later. Chicago is at an all-time great for entrepreneurial activity, only to be bettered by tomorrow. So it's really at a state of greatness and only getting better.
Thank you very much for that, Brad and Kristi. The capital of curiosity really resonates with me. As someone who moved from the small but beautiful state of Idaho, I was really looking for a new experience, and Chicago has been able to give that to me in my years of schooling here, and I hope to be able to stay in Chicago or hopefully in the Midwest. My next question for you is, we know that tech has become more common and wildly successful, improving many different industries, and obviously the two of you have been very successful in implementing tech into your endeavors. So what inspired you to take the leap and be pioneers in that method of using technology?
Back to Kristi.
Okay, yeah, I'll go, no problem. So, and I agree. I mean, technology has really been transformational almost for every industry. And I feel like because I'm old and I've been around for decades, I've seen a lot of things, particularly in the trading industry. But like anything, you sort of need to pay attention call it to the opportunity around you, and always asking, how you can improve efficiency or improve customer experience, or ask yourself what's missing in the industry. And so I'm going to give you a quick story. In trading, when I made my first trade, I remember calling my broker to get a quote. And he said he'd call me back in 10 minutes to give me a quote, and asked if I wanted to place a trade. And so I gave him my order. He called me back 20 minutes later to tell me I got filled. So you look at that, that's basically a half an hour to get an order filled. And now, today, my order can get placed and filled within milliseconds. And for anybody that has a Robinhood account, and first of all, if you have a Robinhood account, you should have a Tastyworks account or a Dough account, which are our two brokers. but you can be standing in line at Starbucks and pull out your phone and place an order and get filled in seconds. And so that's what technology has done for the trading industry. It's dramatically improved the efficiency and the customer experience. But the other beauty of technology is that online trading, so with technology, online trading knows no gender. It knows no color. It knows no age. And so access to the financial markets, it doesn't discriminate. I mean, you have to be an adult, but so technology has brought more than efficiency to the industry. It's removed multiple barriers to entry. And I think the longer you're in an industry, the more you see those opportunities. And that's exciting to me.
It's so funny. I wonder how many people that are dialed in here, no pun intended, remember the payphone. And I remember my first trade, I called Charles Schwab. It was on a recorded line. And I bought Disney stock when I was in 4 shares when I was in high school or something. Anyway, I do think the idea of technology, to me, I almost might go so far as to say, what else would you do if you're of your general age of those who are on this? Whatever you do must involve technology. Why? It's the only thing that's for sure. Mm-hmm. Are you positive that a locomotive will be the way that we transport on 2 metal rail tracks? No, there might be a different thing than a locomotive. But are you positive that technology will be involved at how something pulls something along those metal tracks? I for one, am positive technology will be involved in pulling something from one place to another. And that's a thrilling idea, mm-hmm. that finally, opportunity has been democratized to a lever of something that anybody can master. 50, 100 years ago, you can't get in the auto industry unless you fit into a club and you get a job into a certain this or that, because there's only so many thises or that's. Now you can get in the auto industry overnight if you're 20 years old and are phenomenal at understanding how technology might allow autonomous cars to avoid pets, to avoid animals. Overnight, you are in the middle of that industry. So the ability to hack into, if you will, or use your ingenuity and resourcefulness and curiosity fundamentally to create your own lane through life is more opportune now than ever. Mm-hmm. And more thematically, the idea of a democratized way to be an entrepreneur is something that I would advise everybody think about. And then what do you do with your grasp of technology? The easiest thing to do might not be literally easy, but the easiest relatively is social media, build another clubhouse or whatever. While that might sound interesting, my advice, if you will, is take it for what you're paying for it, which is nothing, but find something that is hard to explain to your friends at a party. Find an industry that your parents don't quite understand, or that everyone's like, why would you pick the locomotive, the rail space? And a good answer is because you don't understand it. That's why. Try to experience what it feels like to be misunderstood as you explore how technology might matter in the world. And the more you're misunderstood, but you understand yourself, perhaps the better the opportunity.
I love
Thank
that.
you guys. You guys have so many good insights that I just, wow. So now I want to ask a little bit about the two of you. You've both worked on and in many different companies, most of them very successful. In hindsight, are there any ideas that are now successful, but you doubted in the beginning stages, or anything that you started and it didn't get off the ground?
Do you want to take this one first, Brad, or you want me?
I mean, but you know, first of all, anybody who is, it's shocking. I've never met an entrepreneur who, and or an investor who can't tell you something that is unbelievable that they didn't do. That's crazy how dumb they are, that they should have done, or an opportunity that they fucked up, where they're fully accountable for the fuck up. So there's 1,000 things that I fucked up in different ways. And I would encourage every one of you not to say, did I fuck up, but exactly how did I fuck up? Okay. Because we all screw up all the time. But in terms of opportunities missed, I mean, I'll just give you one, not as a founder, but as an investor. When Dan Gilbert, who's a good friend of mine, said, you know what, you should look at investing in this thing called StockX. We just started it and I think you'd like it. And I was like distracted or busy, you know. So that's one that's on my miss list, not my hit list. Kristi?
Yeah. And so I think I'll give you, and I agree with absolutely everything Brad just said, like tenfold, totally. But I think what I'll do is I'll give you an example of Tasty Trade, like when we first started, because when we rented an old hip hop studio all the way down to the dishes because we didn't know if it was going to work. We just said, let's try this. Let's throw spaghetti at the wall. And Tasty Trade was a new concept. So we weren't copying someone else. The idea was to make finance fun and actionable. And so you think about finance and fun, and I say this all the time. I mean, together they're an oxymoron. But we tried it. And we hired a number of Second City comedians and taught them the finance side. What we figured out, though, is we were too heavy on the fun and didn't have enough finance. So we adjusted. I'm not going to say pivoted because it wasn't like we had to like shift our whole company, but we had to adjust our program. Had we not, we wouldn't be where we are today. But we made it more finance focused, with a flair of fun and authenticity. But it was then that we knew we had the right formula, but it was our customers who let us know. So it's about listening. And I think that is really, really important.
Thank you. Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's a really good.
Sorry, Justine.
Go ahead, Seth. I'm sorry.
Well, so Justine and I are actually working on a senior design project as part of our coursework right now. And something we can really relate to is going in through the project and working hard and struggling. But what we want to know next is what were some of the make or break moments in your situations in your projects?
Yeah. You want me to go first, Brad?
Yeah, please.
Well, and so what I'll do is I'll feed off of sort of the example I just gave you, because we do something unique that a lot of companies don't do, or at least they stop doing when they get too big. We have open access from our customers to anyone in the firm, anyone. And so we get unfiltered feedback and emails from our customers on what they like or what they don't like. So the key was access. It's sort of this, so the way I'm telling you this is, again, if we didn't provide access, if we didn't have that two-way conversation with our customers, it came down to communication. And it sounds really easy, right? But a lot of companies don't do it. So we still have that open access with our customers even today, 10 years later, 7 companies within our company later. But it's that open access that I feel like really helped us break past that make or break point.
And I'd add to that. I mean, Kristi's words are wise and hard earned. I'd add to them from a perspective standpoint, this meta idea that the daily activity of creation, whether you're at the front of the ship steering it or helping row and guide in some way. Number one, every one of those roles are essential, not just the leader, but the daily activity is not always clear. And the idea of like, it's hard or this is confusing. Those are real things. And some people are more comfortable not or in clarity and are so afraid of or distracted or stopped, if you will, from being themselves in a state of confusion that the entrepreneurial journey is just not for you. And that's okay. I mean, we're here talking about entrepreneurship with the implicit assumption that there's something great about it because we love it. I believe Kristi and I completely love the idea and the activity of entrepreneurship, and therefore we think it's good. But it's also really confusing and hard and unclear. And the moments of doubt and uncertainty are probably more on a relative basis than moments of clarity where everybody is rowing in the exact same way and it feels good. And I know, having kids of my own who are your general age, I have two daughters, 21 and 22, some people are uncomfortable if they don't know that what they're doing for sure matters today. And that's a concept that's worth thinking about for each of you in your own time, which is, what if I don't know that what I'm doing today is the right thing? And what if my work today doesn't directly matter tomorrow? Am I willing to sit in that space of uncertainty and keep going? That's an idea that is worth just kicking around, because that's as much part of those moments of, what if this is not going to work? That's as much part of the entrepreneurial journey, those moments of uncertainty, as is the moments of success or elation or glory, for that matter.
Can I just add to that? I think exactly what Brad is saying is so important, is that learning to feel comfortable being uncomfortable and finding confidence, or knowing or being confident that you're going to be able to figure it out. And I think that, listen, everybody that's here and listening, you're smart and you can figure it out. And that's probably the more important thing, right? About that next step or when you are feeling uncomfortable, it's that next leap to just know that you can figure it out.
My dad is a small business entrepreneur, and throughout this project, I had lots of those moments of uncertainty where it's just a blank mind. You're like, okay, I know I'm doing something. I'm hoping it's going to get there. And there was many phone calls between him saying the same exact thing: is you just got to push through. You're not going to be sure until you're through it and you can see it. And it has definitely paid off.
Love it.
Yeah, I think the psychological aspects of the entrepreneurial journey are at the forefront now more than I've ever experienced, which is reflective of positive evolution of us humans. I mean, first of all, it's not true that everybody can do anything. Like there's certain things I just cannot do, but to expand what I can do, I think it requires to expand what any of us can do, like the aperture or the palette of paint at our disposal, requires not just the work of learning topics, but also understanding ourselves emotionally and psychologically and relationally. So I'm just putting that out there, that the softer side of entrepreneurship has become like a hard fact that's worth thinking about.
For sure. Well, thank you guys so much. I have so many more questions, but I do want to open it up to audience Q&A. So if the audience has anything, I would love to see in the chat, and we can kind of, oh, perfect. So 7 minutes ago, Daniel asked, how do we deal with the fear of failure? What's your thought on the process when you are thinking of the possibility of failing, but still go for it? Is there a threshold of positives that make the possibility of failing worth it?
I could go on about that
That's
one
a
for
long
like
one.
an hour. But Brad, do you want to go first?
You take it, Kristi.
Well, I think the one thing is, and I'm all about this. This is everything that we talk about, even on our financial network, is about taking risks and getting comfortable taking risks. Probably the biggest thing you should ask yourself is, what is the worst thing that can happen? And I think as soon as you can get past that fear of failure and realize that you will learn something. You will learn something, even if you fail. I can't tell you how many times we failed. I mean, this goes back to like what Brad said earlier. You know, there's so many different things you do and so many times you try. If you don't throw enough spaghetti at the wall and fail enough times, you're going to miss that one time that it actually sticks. So there's a component of this that taking risks and being comfortable, being uncomfortable, sort of in this same realm of fear. When I frame it again, I'll frame it in the question of, what is the worst thing that can happen, and can you live with that? And again, you know, is there something you can do to sort of shape it to make it take a positive turn? But you will always learn something. So that's what I'll say.
I'll add one simple question that's worth asking yourself, and the yourself is anyone. What's a bigger risk? The possibility of failing? So the risk of failing, or the risk to your true self of not taking a risk? Because often that second risk is the greatest single risk you can take in terms of living to your full potential.
Yes, thank you. That's fantastic. Something I'm really interested in is the butterfly effect. And, you know, that small or big risk, however, what level it's at, it can make a huge impact on your life down the line. Mm-hmm. We have another question in the chat from Matt Nicole, and what she wants to know is if you have any words of wisdom or great advice for all the anxious entrepreneurial students out there, especially right now in these times.
Here's a couple words of advice. Number one, if you're an entrepreneur, you know it. So that there might be a path on your journey prior to you on your own. And, you know, the fun part is if you know it, you know it. End of story. And you know it for yourself. Nobody has to believe you or not believe you, or you have to prove it to no one other than that you know it. And therefore, every part of what goes and happens next in your life is perfect. Why? Because no matter what, it'll help you be a better you, and you're an entrepreneur that will flourish at some point. That's one idea. And the other idea is that the very best opportunities, if given that you are an entrepreneur, those who I'm talking to, the best opportunities are not listed on the job pages, which is a confusing idea. Because you're like, well, then where are they listed? And my answer is they're not. But your job is to create the opportunity. Find the person, convince them to let you be their chief of staff, convince them that they need you, and here's why. If it involves a job of some sort and not you raising money or not raising money and starting something from scratch, if it's anything other than the latter, the best opportunities are not listed on any job board. Kristi?
Yeah, create your own opportunity, right? There's a philosophy where you dream big, take risks, you have a higher probability of big results, right? And excitement along the way, and a higher probability of having a greater impact. And so finding those people, in part to Brad's point, finding those people, those mentors, those call it those people you could learn from. Like you see someone, you're like, oh my God, I love what they did, or I love that industry or whatever. And learning from them, asking a question, having a conversation. I mean, start to, the more you learn, the more you see, the more you're exposed to, the more it will help you just naturally figure out or feel that next step of what makes the most sense. And probably the biggest thing is I would just say you jump in and do it. You're going to figure it out, and you're going to like learn something at least. But connect with as many people as you can. I used to, when I was in school, and you heard, oh yeah, you should network. I'll tell you, networking, if you take it to heart and it's authentic and it's real and it's not just adding a connection to your LinkedIn, that it's a real connection, person to person, genuinely interested, that's magic. And there's so much you can learn by truly making deep human connections.
That's a really good point. And I actually had a really good friend's dad add me on LinkedIn the other day, and it was exactly that, like a very genuine connection. It was really great to like have that kind of on paper and like have that in my networking tree. And someone just put in the chat, and it's definitely true. Katya, one of our organizers, she and our team, we got this opportunity because of our networking, and we're thrilled. For one last question, and I'm going to steal the question that my mom actually put in the chat. We have often heard from entrepreneurs that she's worked with that they never thought that they would fail. Is that true in you guys' experiences as well?
Boy, that's, I would say, I often say, because I've raised my hand over the years for multiple things. I just step up and say, I'll do that, or count me in. And it's less about like feeling like you're never going to fail, because I know there will be, I know there will be some of that. But it goes back to something I said earlier. It's the confidence that you hold, that confidence in yourself that you hold, that you can figure it out.
I'm always wary of the possibility of failure. I probably have never ever thought that I won't fail. I've had different calibrations of belief that I'll succeed, but I'm constantly dealing with my inner voice of what ifs, and that's probably the greatest fuel of entrepreneurship, is the inner voice. Which goes to an earlier question or part of this conversation of how do you get over the failures and the crippling or debilitating or diminishing effects? And the response, I'd say, study any champion of any, any athlete, female, male, study what they talk about when they talk about their success, if they've been successful. And you're going to hear someone who's a discipline around what they say to themselves that nobody ever really lists. Like, how would you ever know? But champions say to them, like Billie Jean King, her mantra is champions adjust. The key there is champions. Well, actually, both words are key. Champions, she's reaffirming to herself, I'm a champion. And then she's reminding herself, I adjust. I change always. I adjust. I adapt. Like, you're not right. You're just a learner, is what that word adjust is saying to herself. And it's constant. And she, when I talked to her about this, she said she's probably said those words like 100 million times to herself, those two words. And when she was in these matches, she said she'd say those words. It's all she'd say over and over. So I'd say entrepreneurs in a different but not too different way are also performers on the world stage. And the idea of your inner voice to give yourself fuel is really, really important. So what you say to yourself in those moments is worth thinking about.
Thank you for those wise words. Yes, listening to champions, learning from them and inspiring to be like them is a fantastic words of advice. I think it's really important, especially the adaptability part. I mean, here we are today on a virtual platform. It's all very new. Well, it's been about a year when we've been messing with it, but it's still very new. And we're really excited that we've been able to make this event happen. And we'd like to thank you, Kristi and Brad, for being here with us today. We are super fortunate to have such inspiring Chicago entrepreneurs share their story and wisdom to our student community. And we'd also like to thank everyone for attending our event. We would love for you to share your feedback of the event on your Instagram stories or other social media platforms. So please do this by tagging Chicago Startup Week to let us know what you thought.
Thanks for having us.
And I just want to thank you both as well. I think we had a really great conversation about the entrepreneurial mindset, and I'm sure the audience appreciated it. I certainly did. Before we end, we're giving away our next raffle prize to someone from the audience. So Daniel Medina, you have just won yourself a pair of Apple AirPods Pro. So thank you, congratulations, and we will follow up with you for some details.
And
Thank you both. Great job.
Yeah, thanks again, guys.
Thank you so much. And we'd like to now hand the stage over to Anisha, our pitch competition project lead for the 2021 Chicago Startup Week Pitch Competition Grand Finale.
Thanks, guys.
Hello, thank you, Seth, for the introduction. I'm Anisha, I'm the pitch competition lead for this year. And before we get to the winners of the pitch competition, I would like to thank everyone who made the competition possible, starting with our sponsors. We'd like to thank Quarles & Brady, which is one of the top law firms for startups in Chicago and the Midwest. Quarles represents dozens of startups across the Midwest from pre-seed to exit. If you're looking to connect with Quarles, feel free to reach out to me and I can connect you with their lead startups attorney, Adam Balkov. We would also like to thank TechNexus Venture Collaborative. For entrepreneurs and startups, TechNexus provides an accelerated growth support platform and an extensive range of corporate collaborators, incubation services, and helpful resources. We would also like to thank the Dorm Room Fund, which is a student-run venture firm backed by First Round. They look to support companies, particularly in the Midwest, through a strong network of people who can help in the journey of scaling your startup. If you have any questions, I can connect you with Shreya Parakala, Jared Barnes, or Jason Brook. And finally, I would like to thank the Coleman Foundation, which helps empower entrepreneurs by providing a network of nonprofits, supporting business owners by improving their ability to create ventures, and working with other funders to help grow the Chicago entrepreneurial system. I would also like to thank all of the amazing judges and mentors for their time and enthusiasm to help the startups. This event would not be possible without all of them, and it has been super fun organizing. Now we will move on to the winners. Starting with third place, the third place prize consists of $1,250 worth of legal services and a first call with the Dorm Room Fund. Judges, would you like to announce the third place winner?
Happy to. So the third place winner is Galileo. Quick bit about Galileo. They are developing a pretty incredible wearable exoskeleton designed to really help regulate thermodynamics and body temperature. They are very interested in the defense industry as well as firefighters and construction workers. Best of luck, Galileo, and congratulations.
Hey, congratulations to Galileo Innovations. Now we will move on to second place.
All right, second place. Drum roll, please. Second place will go to Scally. Scally is a tele-EMS solution for in-flight medical emergencies. We were really excited about their point-of-care assistance tool that would be for in-flight crew members. So congratulations, Scally.
Congratulations to Scally. They will be getting $1,750 worth of legal services, a first call with the Dorm Room Fund, and 3 months of co-working space at TechNexus. Now for our first place winner, they will be, go ahead, Gina.
Oh, first place is Cue the Curves. We love the founder. We love the market potential. We're so excited to see it grow. And if you don't know about Cue the Curves, it's an inclusive shopping experience and community for plus size bodies. So congratulations, Cue the Curves.
Hey, congratulations. For first place, they will be receiving $2,000 worth of legal services, a first call with the Dorm Room Fund, 6 months of co-working space at TechNexus, and $750. Congratulations to all the startups who won and all the teams that participated this week. I am very excited to see where everyone's startups go in the future, and I hope that this has been a fun experience for all of you. Thank you to everyone that came here today, and have a great rest